Hello. Hi, everybody. Just going to get this thing synchronized, so bear with me just a minute here. Stop that. All right. Almost there. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And I would also like to remind you folks that if you would like anything in the comments section to see it later, you're going to need to be in the Mirror channel's live feed. And so if you're in my main channel that you got used to watching all this time, where you normally find these live streams, I'm going to recommend that you switch to the other one. And then I'm going to give you that link here. Hang on really quick. All right. All right. So the reason I'm doing that, folks, is because it's this main channel has had a lot of problems with being. I don't want to get into it. The reason I disappear for 2 weeks is because of things that YouTube puts on my channel. So this one is treading a thin line on getting canceled, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm trying as much as possible to merge all of the live streams over to the alternate channel, and it's called Gabriel Cruz Research Backup Mirror Channel. Very long name, whereas the one that you normally would go to is just called Gabriel Cruz, just so you understand the difference. And so I just placed the link. So if you're in the wrong one, I just sent you the link to the right one to go to. And then it's the same feed though. Don't worry. There's no difference right now, but I'm telling you this for future reference because I will stop simulcasting it on Gabriel Cruz, and soon it will merge entirely over to Gabriel Cruz Mirror. No, no cheekiness or anything else like that. It's just because I call it that because my intention is to do an entire archive as much as I can without putting up the material that put the other channel at risk. I want to place it all on the Mirror channel. So it's literally going to be a complete mirror of the original. But I have, wow. I think when I counted them all up, it was over 900 clips that I've posted on the main channel. That's all original material. That includes live reports, live streams, as well as documentaries like the Energetic series, Controlled Offensive Behavior series, everything in my archive that's information sharing. I have a playlist of like 30 some clips that's all just sort of vital information that I consider to be like at the core of all my research. And so I don't want that to get canceled along, with everything else if I get, any problems with this live stream. So, of course, the topics that I've been covering don't really help matters much, but just to put it in context, folks, the reason why, that's why I have to I've been putting it in the posts of the community section on the Gabriel Cruz channel. And that way, that, if you're looking for the previous night's live stream and you're wondering why it's not on Gabriel Cruz, the link within the community section will tell you how to get to the live stream that was on this channel. Okay. I'm going to keep doing it for a little while this way, just to give people like a reboot, hey, everybody, you got to subscribe to the other channel. And then eventually what I'll start doing is simulcasting on the main channel just for a little while. And then I'll end their main channel's, feed and switch entirely over to the Mirror channel for the live stream after that. So what you'll wind up seeing is on Gabriel Cruz, the main channel, is the next day for like 30 minutes, it'll say something like, hey, this is an identically titled live stream, but I'll let people know in the beginning of it that if you want to see the entire 2+ hours, you have to go to the other channel, and there's the link below. That's how I'll just do it for a while. And I'm trying to do that to encourage subscribership to the other channel, because there's people that have gotten used to seeing all the material here. And what happens is when YouTube does something like a community strike on me, they have no idea that I'm still online or that I still exist. So that's why I encourage you, go to my Twitter. And if you're looking for my material, I really do try to post as many things as I can relative to where I'm streaming and how I'll be streaming in the event that there's any interruptions to my material. I'm also looking into alternative venues. And so if there's things that people are already subscribed to within my audience already that they like as different venues, then I'll certainly entertain going there. Some of the ones that I've been looking into are like I think D Live, Rumble. There's some other ones. Oh, hell. What else did I find? There's some that'll actually, I think, pay you like tips and crypto and things like that. That can make it a little bit, better to be over there anyways. Because right now there's just all the strikes that happen to me. It's really like, it's weird the way it just happened kind of out of nowhere. There was really nothing that I could attribute the strikes to that were legit. And they were straight up, guys. They were giving me music copyright strikes on material that had zero music. I didn't play any clips of my own that had music, and I didn't play any clips of anybody else's that had music. They even gave me a timestamp where they heard the music, and I play it, and the music is not there. So things like that were happening to my channel. And that's why I try to make an appeal to, say, hey, make sure you're in the Gabriel Cruz mirror, and then you'll make sure that'll ensure that you get all of the updates. All right. Sorry, that was a long setup here for the beginning, but I want to give people time to join anyways. It's Sunday night, so I don't expect a huge audience. It's usually kind of quiet on Sunday nights, but there might be some event too going on right now that I'm clueless about, because I try to tune out the news cycle unless there's something super obvious going on that I feel like I should at least have my ear to the ground to find out what the fakery is about. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into tonight, is about the manufactured reality that we're existing in and how it translates over to the financial markets, and why this is a big reason why nobody really wants this to end, guys. Like, the bogus information cycle is an ecosystem that they got everybody dirty with. It's the kind of thing where they just knew that if they could get enough different parties vested in it for various reasons, that anybody who reveals what I'm revealing would seem like a bad guy to all different groups, whether they're a criminal or they're a person that's doing it for the right reasons. They would want to incentivize everybody kind of like throwing things and being saying boo. And here's why, guys, because what I'm telling you is it's a tool that's used within spycraft, defense, other things to provide cover for people. It's a very clever method. But I mean, I've already talked about it, guys, and the mafia and the mob uses it so effectively. I feel like they've gone so overdrive on doing it to where it's gotten to the point now where I don't know how you can even deny that it exists, because their fakery is so overtly obvious and in your face. I mean, there's some very, I don't know, guys, intense efforts to, I guess, steer everybody's beliefs into a very negative direction. Which, by using certain terms within the stories, and even like CEOs' names, for example, it's all an ecosystem of structural psychology. It's gaslighting our reality daily, every minute that they put another fake name inside your face and say like, yeah, this person was born with this name. Sure, accept it. Yeah, why else would they have 1,000 followers? Why else would they have 500,000 followers? I know you've never heard of them, but voila, they exist now. How can you deny it? They've got this many people that love them. Well, who says? How do you know? Can you count them all? Did you find them all in a room? Did you stack them all up in a stadium to know they in fact have that many people that love them and follow them and care about them? Hell no. And this is the big ruse that's on everybody's perception, guys. I got to be careful on this one. I was about this. There's one clear way you can identify this, but I think this is what got me struck last time. So I'm going to reel it in. Fuck, I hate this, dude. I need to be in a different venue altogether. The minute this happens, guys, we're in the wrong place. See what I'm saying? I have to think about what I'm about to say. I don't give a shit, mind you. But to keep this channel going, yeah, I would almost want to disconnect what I'm doing from this main one and go over to the mirror channel and start talking about it there. Because at least I can afford to risk having a strike there. So what I mean to say, though, is, guys, is like there's enormous amounts of efforts right now to cover up a lot of the things that I've been telling you about rigging everything. Financial markets, your perception, who a real reporter is. Guys, this is why I try to say, like, it's done almost nowhere more than in journalism. One person can be a dozen journalists with a whole bunch of different perspectives and backgrounds. One person that, you know, just as some schmuck that was raised in the suburbs of Seattle or something like that can sit there and pretend to be like an Israeli journalist reporting at the ground level. And then they call themselves one variation on their name. So if their name is John Doe, they might call themselves, you know, like try to make it more Judaic or something like that. And they'll do something that's nearly anti-Semitic within their fake Jewish name while they pretend to be Jewish. They love doing that, by the way. And then they'll do something else like maybe they're a reporter for like Hispanic publications that are like Spanish language, you know, for various markets. And so this person that was just raised in the suburbs that doesn't speak a lick of the language, they just have some translator go in there and they name themselves like John Doyalea Doyoyo or something like that. I don't know, something really bizarre like that integrates their name into the fake Spanish name so they can sound like a legit Mexican reporter. And they do all their things in a translator and they put out that article that day and they can just spit these things out, man, like one after the other. Then they might be another one that's I don't know, a Washington on the, you know, Washington DC on the field reporter. They're always there for you. They're making sure they cover everything. And that one's going to be, you know, Juan I don't know, Dorito or something like that. They like to integrate the brand of something else like a food or a car or some corporation into the fake name of the character that's going to be the Mockingbird journalist, fake journalist. And I'm telling you guys, this shit's for real. There's like people that do this, like a dozen journalists all day long. In fact, one of them, I'm certain I know exactly who they are because she always uses her same first name. And she's always buying these damn articles. And I know who she is because she's always using, like, you know, like, oh God, I'm Jessica Steinberg. You know, oh, yeah, sure you are. Yeah, right. And then the other day you used, you know, guys, I can't even get into it. They like that one because Berg is David Berg, and that's the Children of God cult leader. And that was like some Hollywood cult that a lot of them are connected to that they came from. So they'll use Berg, and you know, as a way to reference Children of God and mind control things relative to mind control cults where they trick kids into being Christian, but they really just pimp them out to Nazis, really, when you get down to it. If you really study all those things, guys, that's all they were doing. They were conditioning kids into having sex with Nazis because they've got this belief system that's consistent with a lot of other dark esoteric societies about being the first at bat with these kids. And, you know, they want to do that and specifically bind them to a experience where they're either in love with a Nazi. So if they're like an adult male, they're really going to try to, in many cases, maybe at some point in time, actually try to trick the girl that they're whatever, you know, like in one of these cults like Children of God or Love Family or one of these. I don't think Source Family did this as much, but definitely Children of God, there's signs of it. And Love Family's got all the signs of it. In fact, if you watch the documentary Children of God, they even tell you they sent these girls down to bars. I mean, really, to woo in these guys. But guys, you know, understand, like, that's the cover story. What that was really about, though, was these were staged events where they were telling the kids it was about Christianity, but it was really conditioning them into trysts with Nazis. Okay. And this is something that the Nazi Party has done as well, like I said, as well as other esoteric societies for a long time. For example, Lebensborn, they like to anchor trauma to children so early, either through a violent or traumatic or scary experience, or through a dark sexual experience, or they will actually really try to woo in a real way. Well, it's fake, but they want them to believe that this person's good in many cases, because that's another spectrum of energy they can tap into to some of these bloodlines. The whole point of it, folks, is using these bloodlines as conduits for beliefs. Structural psychology, by getting certain selected bloodlines that they know are very powerful energetically to love the Nazis or to fear the Nazis. And again, it's not just them who do it. Many groups have done it over time. I'm just explaining it to you like in one variation relative to cults that have taken over America since like 1945. And I'm sorry about using the word cult, you guys, because I don't really know a better word. I really do feel like what they are sort of structural psychology, mind control programs that are there to condition select genetics that they know who they are. They target the parents if the parents aren't involved themselves in harvesting and collecting these children to pretend are their families, to bring them into the cult to get conditioned into this exact thing. Then the parents go like, I didn't know any better, when they really just lined the kids up to have it done. I mean, there's so many different ways they get away with this, guys. Then they make some shocking documentary afterwards where the perpetrators wind up looking like the victims. It's fucking, sorry guys, it's frustrating. There's too many examples of this, and there's too many gatekeepers relative to reporting on this. Whether it's in Hollywood, they've got their set of gatekeepers where once they, do like a documentary, or they get in charge of some nonprofit or something like that, they suddenly become the only people that you can go to. And then when you start to verify these people, you're like, why aren't you like responding to my information? Or why do you find no reason to help me? I thought you were the person that was supposed to like help anybody with legal costs that had some real information, blah, blah, blah. You'll find that, guys, and again, I'm not discouraging people, okay? I'm actually encouraging more people to go forward, but I need you to understand what I've learned. You're going to hit many brick walls when it comes to nonprofits that allege to help. You're going to learn the more you unpackage the names and the codes. Everything I'm going to tell you about Jeff Bezos, you need to learn how to apply this towards nonprofits that are doing things to help people, okay? Because they do the same shit. They'll put them in the board of directors. They'll put them at the leadership, and they'll act like they're helping people. They'll act like they're saving kids. They'll act like whatever, guys, and they're just not doing it. Again, guys, I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm like the hero of this shit. I'm not doing that. I praise anybody that's doing this in earnest, and I want them to get the appropriate credit. And anybody who is doing this in earnest, I'm very, very happy to partner with them if they would like to review my information. I've just learned that every time I approach these groups, they act like I don't exist. And either they're not getting it, or they just don't really want my information because it's actually real. It's not conspiracy theory, and it's not just some story I pulled off the internet. I have records I can associate with it. I can prove every step of the way where I've been, what happened, and everything else like that. It's just that that's like actually compelling evidence that they can act on. And I'm telling you, like, the thing that this group's, none of them I've seen, guys. I'm trying to like, and look, guys, I'm not sliding anybody. It's just that I'm still waiting to find the one that is interested. Either reaches out to me, maybe because I've tried reaching out to them and they didn't get my information. That's fine. Maybe somebody out there knows somebody that would be compelled to do something more with the data that I have. I don't know. But we've been testing a lot of different routes. People on the sidelines that kind of help me and give me tips, and they're just kind of like, yeah, put a feeler out, go to that one group and like, send a Twitter to them, or yeah, I know you don't trust them entirely, but why don't you just put a feeler out and see if they'll like respond to your humor or respond to your article, and sometimes they'll give it a thumbs up, or they might retweet it or say whatever. But by and large, I've noticed that There's been times where I put out things that were absolute gold for one of these organizations, whether a journalist or something else like that, that they should have just leaped on in 2 seconds. And it's just like, it's just crickets chirp. And I found this across the board, guys. It was with social issues, whether it was nonprofits or whatever, government things that you wanted to report. There's always these sort of like electronic e-gatekeepers where you look at the person that you're supposed to report to and you're like, it's almost like they have names like, Wally Brickman. Yes, if you would like to complain about the FBI, please talk to Wally Brickman. You know why they would do that? This man is a brick wall. You're not talking to anybody. Talk to the brick wall. Or, Wally, Handeman Brickman. I mean, guys, they do things like that. I wish I was exaggerating. That might be something that exists. I would not be surprised if you looked up the name Wally Brickman and you found that they were like the person you report a complaint to at some organization someplace. Seriously, even though I just pulled that out of my ass, that would not surprise me at all to learn that it's a real person that actually exists somewhere. Not a real one, but a fake name that's been presented as real. All right, getting down to that. I did a whole article on this. And this one's, I called it like the Wizard of Oz. Let me hang on really quick because I've got a whole, yeah, all right. This is an article that I did, and I apologize for the way I kind of lyrically go through the video or whatever, because I'm not trying to be like, like use some weird cadence. It's just that sometimes when I'm trying to instruct, I guess, on how codes work, I'll try to walk people through the steps of the ciphers and things like that. And so this one here is relative to Amazon. All right. Now, the reason why I'm talking about Amazon is because I was really noticing something as I was identifying a lot of these backdoor hacks into smartphones. Conveniently, very frequently, I would notice that an Amazon vehicle would get near all of this nefarious activity. Like, I'm talking about things that I knew it was traffickers and child pornographers getting close to me. And I'm going, why won't the FBI help? I keep going to them, asking them to help me out with this shit and keep an eye on it. And they keep acting like I don't fucking exist. And so, and I'm a radio frequency engineer that used to crack smartphones and test them for a living. Hello, think McFly, think FBI. You know what's weird, guys? I see them kissing John McAfee's ass. Not lately. He's in prison right now, sadly, because the guy knows a lot and he could be doing a lot to help people. And but I saw the FBI kissing his ass because he knows so much about these exact topics, going like, "Well, why don't you help us, John? Why don't you come on over and help us?" And I'm thinking to myself, do you know that I actually offered them that? I did a public article in front of their fucking office, you guys, right in front of the Nevada FBI office and in their back lot. Even looked inside their cameras and said, I'm here to help. I know everything about how these phones can get hacked and cracked. I used to be a device tester when I was a system performance engineer. I have worked for three of the largest, one of the several large, there's like about maybe 7 companies that you've heard of in wireless. I worked for 3. Okay. One of them I worked for nearly 2 decades, spent the first 2 decades of my career there. I'd say I was there about 17, 18 years, pretty close to there. Okay. And I did nearly everything there. I fixed cell phones. I installed them like back in the 90s. I repaired cell towers. And I did do things with device testing on smartphones. I did do things with system performance. I optimized network databases. Then I actually designed cell towers for a living. So I don't want to hear shit. I can't believe that the FBI would be so fucking worthless that when a person like me as a good American steps forward and says, can I offer my assistance for fucking free? You'd think they'd want to have a fucking conversation with me. Think, McFly, think. You look so stupid. Do you know that? It just reminds me of the article I read when Russia tried warning us about the bombers in Boston. They were like, no, fuck you guys. We know what we're doing. Fuck you. We know what we're doing. Move along now. Nothing to see here. bye. There's all these people that are just like trying to help you guys. You're just like, no, go away. It's almost like you want this shit to happen. It kind of feels like that, FBI. What the fuck? It doesn't bother you that pimps are selling like, kids and shit like that, using other people's IP addresses, selling drugs and shit like that. Fine, I don't really give a shit if they sell drugs. I honestly don't. But selling kids, that bothers me. That pisses me off. And that you don't care, that pisses me off. That you don't care enough just to set your differences aside and just find, I'm a very talented person. It pisses me off. But you know what I know about you, FBI? It's all the other information that I've got that you just don't want to deal with because it implicates so many people that are inside your office. So instead of just dealing with all that shit the way you should appropriately, I guess you're just going to ignore all the obvious. Fine. But I'm going to keep doing these reports. It just bothers me. Like, what the hell? See, a world court's eventually going to have a justification. The military definitely has a justification to start doing your jobs for you because you're not doing them. That's the beauty of this. You understand that? FBI, you have rendered yourself an inefficient, non-functioning agency, which does, I believe, I'm sure there's got to be some degree of law, some legal precedent somewhere that says when the FBI refuses to answer calls that are legitimate, the military can step in. Because they are, guys, they are refusing to do anything meaningful. But man, they'll send a dozen agents out for a fake case, a fake fucking made up shit case. And I'm sure they all billed, like all the hotels and drove out there, maybe filmed an episode of CSI, wherever that fucking thing was done, as some background actors. That's all that works, guys. They're all just fucking playing Hollywood. You know that? Especially in Nevada, because all they got to do is drive 3 hours to the field office in LA and film some fucking movies around the corner in a studio and be like, it's so cool, like pretending that I'm an agent. Yeah, while kids are getting molested. Worthless agency, FBI. Worthless. You're worthless. I've proven it over and over again. Just let the military do your fucking jobs for you and step out of the way, please. Especially you, Director Ray, directing rays at people. What the fuck, Director Ray? You don't want information about real X-rays and gamma rays frying people, Director Ray? Why does Director Ray not care about that? Maybe because he's the same person that's like, kind of close to the people that made Cider Riot in Portland, They love these puns, guys. Yeah, all of Antifa who start riots hang out at Cider Riot next to 0.11 miles from the Oregon Democrats headquarters. So here's Oregon Democrats, here's Cider Riot, and here's Antifa all hanging out the same street corner together at a bar called Insider Riot. Oh, I'm not sorry. It's called Cider Riot, not Insider Riot, not Insider Riot. Wait. Yeah, that's exactly what it's supposed to mean, because the Democrats with Antifa are the insiders inciting inside riots. They'll fucking tell you right to your face. Partnering with Minnesota DFL, by the way, but this is why our FBI doesn't care, because it's all political now. It's all about protecting these fucking goons. And yes, guys, do you want to know what the problem is? Do you want to know what the problem is? The problem is that, yeah, many of them are in fact pedophiles that are being protected because they don't belong in those jobs. And some of those people that are in these agencies are literally child molesters or facilitators of child pornography networks. And so when you piss them off, they'll come right after you and be like, going, I think it's you. You can't do that to me, though, FBI, because I got the right people's attention, don't you? I actually told the military about what you were doing. And the military does, in fact, have a plan, guys. I don't care what anybody says. They're not going to just come right out and tell everybody. But let me tell you how this is all going to work. Because this is all so fucked and everything is this fake, including our CEOs and everything else like that, our news cycle and everything. What makes this possible is information flow in America. So I beg you and plead with you, whenever it does come to the point where we're going to have to do some switchovers, don't act like it's martial fucking law. Don't act like it's some oppressive government action, because it's not. It's going to liberate our country from a false information cycle. They can rig everything and disadvantage all of you. They have a time advantage on everything you do. They can make themselves rich and you poor just with the time advantage. Wake up. These people, the mob, the mafia, are fucking controlling all the information flow in America. I have given you all the names and places and dates and everything, guys. It has been put out here in my material daily. Now, this is our problem. This is our problem. The FBI is just as implicated. They're doing it too. They're just as complicit. So there's good people there, and I think they're just as frustrated as I am. So kudos to you, because I'm really not trying to be abusive to you. I think you know you're at an inefficient agency. This is why I'm explaining to you guys, like those of you who want to do the right thing with me, what the fuck, man? It's our country. This doesn't have to be some weird revolution. What's bizarre, guys, is the revolution happened. The pedos took our goddamn country, and I wish I was exaggerating. I need you to sort of understand this, folks. Pedophiles are the most exploitable form of labor. They are the most reliable and the most, guys, they will do anything. Anything. There is nothing these people have as a moral boundary. Do you think that's not valued by people in the mafia? Don't you think that if they had a way to rig records and make a person who's a sex offender, give them 2 or 3 or 4 other IDs to use, I'm telling you guys that each one can get a job, can get benefits, a house, has its own social security number, and an online identity. Amazing. By the way, any of these online identities can be exponentially more influential than you. Like that, they can have 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, and everybody loves them on Facebook, and they have for like 10 years. What, you haven't heard of them? It works just like that. They just wave a wand, you guys, and all of a sudden everybody goes like, oh yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, that rapper, yeah, I know who they are. Oh yeah, oh that commentator, sure, I know who she is. Oh yeah, that religious person, yeah, I know. Like but it'll be like that. They just appeared overnight. They literally just they go print character, and then this person's been followed for years. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody agrees to go along with it, that are all part of the network. Reinforcing fake, until you just go like, well, what choice do I have? I guess it's reality. And that's the problem. You're so bombarded with it. We all are. I don't blame any of you. I really don't. I'm just frustrated that, look, I'm not frustrated, okay? Well, yeah, I am, but how do I say it? I was expecting, I guess, in my Bart Simpson, 80s sitcom brain, because I just believe in happy ending, type, oh, hey, everybody worked it out. Oh, they all learned a lesson. Great. Yes, I'm a bit cynical at times and everything like that, but I am, as Robert Anton Wilson was, an incorrigible optimist. And I just don't believe that everybody would be this freaking stupid. And what is going on right now, folks, is that, Ray is absolutely a problem. His name is occulted, okay? It is. Chris, remember guys, Christmas is also spelled Xmas, right? Can we all agree? I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. He's another one of these characters. So Xmas equals, I'll show you how this all works, guys. So let's take that, right? So Xmas, so Christmas, guys. Remember Christmas? He's Christopher Ray. Christmas. Christmas. That's what the Zodiac said, Christmasses. The Zodiac killers, because it's always been a group of people, some who are in law enforcement and some who are in the general public, that partner on Zodiac crimes. Then they just run around going like, we don't know who did it. Yeah, right. Horseshit. It's a code and it's a cipher for electronic weapons hits and assassinations. Now, Director Ray, maybe step down, bitch. Well, you think I just speak for me? Give up. Guys, I don't think you understand how I'm wired. I talk to anybody. I did go to the Portland FBI. I do reports in front of the Nevada FBI. I do say this shit. Now, I was nice. I was really fucking nice for a long time. Now, I'm just going to tell you straight up what I think he is. You fail at everything. And I don't think you're incompetent. I think you're doing it intentionally. So it's one or the other. You're stupid or you're doing it intentionally. In either case, you don't belong there. Right? Can we all agree? All right. So Chris, Christ mass equals X mass equals Chris X Ray. Guys still with me? Because right as I did that, I lost my connection. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody sees me still in the chat? I literally, right as I typed that, my connection went down, and then it came right back on. That used to be what happened to me every time I talked about the Clintons. They magically would start shutting off my connection. It would just like boom, off, on, off, on, off, on. So if I could get a verification from somebody, a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it, because I really don't know if I'm on right now. And by the way, they did that at 37 minutes. So yeah, I told you about the Zodiac. Zodiac had 37 deaths. So thank you, I appreciate it. All right. Starting to understand our problem, guys. They're literally putting people that sometimes, and I'm not saying he's this, but I'm telling you that it would not surprise me to learn that he had a track record and they put him in a government position at the director level. That's how fucked the system is. Do you guys get it? It is that fucked. All right? We have these people that can get to these ranks of positions by literally performing ritualistic sacrifice. Now, these sacrifices don't occur the way they used to back in the old days. They don't stick a dagger into your heart and they don't stab you with a knife. They aim an X-ray, a gamma ray, an electron beam at your fucking skull and give you Parkinson's until you fucking die. That's how it works in the modern day and age. This is why Director X-ray doesn't want to fucking hear Gabe. This is why Director X-ray didn't want to hear about my evidence over at South Cove Apartments, where there was an X-ray machine going off over my fucking head. And I have video evidence of it. And I did a live stream of that shit. With military watching from a distance. Worthless FBI. See, we're building together. All of us, we're doing something together in ways that you really can't fuck with. You see how we're all building bridges like ants? You can't even tell how we're doing it. I do things for them that they're not allowed to do. They do things for me that I'm not allowed to do. All undetectably. I just tell you straight up what I'm doing. I'm building bridges. What I've been doing with my material for the last couple years, especially the intense focus of the last 2 years, has been to remind people, okay, that what we must do at this point is give doorways for the military to step in and do things that at federal level, the FBI is not doing. They are letting people die. They are letting people get terrorized. They are letting all of this terrorism happen on the streets. They were fighting aggressively against our last president because he actually identified certain groups like the KKK and like the Antifa, not only as being terrorist organizations, but as one and the same in America. And I promise you that shit's the real deal. And I'll tell you why I know that's the real deal, because even Portland, Antifa's numbers are starting to dwindle compared to before. And you want to know why? You want to know why? Because somebody's been out there telling them that they're working for Nazis. And the people that were at the low level that didn't know that are like, what? Yeah, pay close attention to this information. You guys are walking straight into a Nazi meat grinder. They love it too. They love it when you believe it. They just love it. Guys, I'm going to explain something to you. I can tell you straight up that some of the conservatives that are just pretending to find Antifa as their enemies in Portland, I know some of these goons are like twin brothers. I know where one twin is, and I know that the other one hangs out in the streets doing his fucking, pretending to be a conservative. I wouldn't have talked shit about the guy. I would have thought he was legit if the other guy didn't fucking shock me at the tune of 2,000 volts per meter. Just saying. That's why I feel compelled to release that information, because let me tell you something. It's a real. It gets everybody's it gets everybody worked up on both sides. And Portland's got a really bad problem with this. It's a lot of theater, and guys, they've mastered it. Even dirty cops will partner with a dirty Antifa person. They'll make it look like this whole thing happened, this big drama happened that didn't actually happen. I'm starting to wonder, guys, if some of this wasn't just designed to do things like, completely do a whole reset and just get people to leave Oregon and make it their Shangri-La of corruption. I think that they're really just trying to scare everybody from going there. I think they're trying to make it look like this huge shithole. Let me tell you something, man. That's not the Oregon that I knew. Not at all. It's a beautiful freaking place. National forest in the middle of the city. Everybody there was, look, guys, you could be friendlier, mind you. Portland was never the warmest place in the world, but I think some of that's informed by the weather. It's just a little bit dreary a lot of the months of the year, kind of like Seattle. So people get depressed. So that's kind of like a normal aspect of it. So no, it's not the kind of place where everybody's just like, hi, welcome to Portland. But, there's a lot of nature. There's a lot of things to do. You can go hiking. You can take public transportation nearly any place. And get around and things like that pretty easily, if you don't feel like driving a car or parking, and not everybody does, but it's also not impossible to get around in a car, although they're trying to make it that way, which is trippy to me. But that's all I'm saying, guys. Like, just don't buy into it. Don't buy into the deceptions, and don't buy into the the act. Like when I showed you that BBC interview between Antifa and the Patriot, not Patriots, but Proud Boy guy, that just felt so fucking staged and set up. Like it's just there to piss off everybody on all sides. And I'm just like, are you sure these guys aren't just going to go back someplace and have a beer together afterwards after they just played badass and stared each other down? And like, it just feels like so lucha libre, so professional wrestling. And what does it all wind up doing? Well, it chases everybody away. You don't want to go there. Then they keep having their economies the way they want them. The underground, the Shanghai, the open transfer and sale of children. I mean, guys, Oregon, can you just be happy that you're basically like you can get away with nearly everything else now and just leave the kids alone? How about that? Think about it, guys. Do you know how they've changed their laws radically in Oregon? Do you know what kind of shit you can get away with in Oregon now? You can pretty much do anything. If you thought that like Nevada was, pretty like loose with the rules, wait till you go check out what's going on in Oregon. You can get away with more shit now in Oregon than you can get away with in Nevada, I think. Seriously. They've decriminalized nearly everything. And again, guys, I don't necessarily disagree with decriminalizing drugs. I think that there's better ways of handling it. But You don't do it at the same time. You like start going out on the streets and terrorizing everybody and then taking all the cops and making them quit their jobs. You see, the timing of these things felt a little bit too synchronized. So yeah, now what we're going to have is that, look, guys, I always said before, like, if you're just only harming yourself, I don't really care. That's my treaty with everybody. If your crime, if whatever it is a crime, is just you hurting yourself, that's your business. I hope you don't hurt yourselves. That's all. I have the same love for you that I do any stranger, I suppose. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I don't want you to hurt others. That's all. Not assuming that you would. I think people have the right to experiment in whatever ways they want to with their own bodies and minds. That's their business. And I think that if you had more tolerance, more people would make better decisions and probably choose not to. More tolerance usually equals to fewer people making the choice to, because they know more, and so they know what to avoid and what not to. And they usually have safer environments to make those, quote, mistakes in. And then they kind of go like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that shit again. But see, they also didn't get arrested and have their lives destroyed, which would put them into a cycle where they're going to keep doing it. Oh, wow. See, some of these things that are put out there aren't entirely wrong when it comes to the, quote, the liberal aspect of it. I don't think that's even a liberal thing, guys. To me, that's more of a libertarian idea. Libertarian. Because it's just something that the government really shouldn't be heavily involved with. And I think what I've learned is when our government gets involved with it, they just run the shit. Whoever's involved with drugs within America right now at the DEA level is just managing it. They're not fighting it. Same thing for the FBI. I say nearly everything that's going on criminally right now, as far as I can tell, guys, when I try to trace things back, it all goes to the FBI. It goes to the CIA. It goes basically to those main alphabet agencies. And you'll learn that when you try to genuinely report something, they won't accept your report and your life gets exponentially worse. And they'll kind of go like, this person's crazy, right? Am I? Guys, today, they're going to have to start talking about some of the topics that I have. They're already having reports now, guys, that there's multiple people. And something came out today, I can even show you, that beyond the Cuban embassy report where they were getting hit with direct energy weapons and microwave, there's been multiple cases of NSA and CIA intelligence professionals also experiencing energy symptoms when they operated in foreign offices. Then the CIA and NSA themselves denied that it was happening to them. You know what that kind of says to me, you guys? That it was probably an inside job. It meant that there was probably people that weren't willing to be dirty and corrupt and fucked up. And they were like, yeah, we got to do something to get rid of these fuckers. And they don't just shoot you like they talk about in the movies. CIA doesn't walk up and go, no, they'll go, until you lose your goddamn mind. Seen any films by Albert S. Ruddy lately? Let's talk about that. He's the producer of the Godfather series. Putting on my announcer voice. I'm going to take a comedy break here for a second, fuckers. Why don't I have a career doing voice acting? I can do just about any voice. I can do cartoon characters. I can do radio voices. I can do just about every style of announcer. I could be on the radio, for fuck's sake. I could have my own talk show because I do it for free every fucking night. But not a single one of these venues has come to me and said like, yeah, Gabe, why don't you come on board? None of them, guys. How legit is our media? I don't think that I'm having like an ego here when I tell you that it's obvious why I'm being like not added into this cycle of media. Why they would prefer to like push me out and go like, he still doesn't exist. I know. Let's pay attention to this other stupid character instead. That's one of the ones we made up. Gabe, we don't control. Yeah, guys, that's the problem. I don't really have a controller. I don't have an ecosystem of fakery that I'm in. So they don't know what to do with me. because I'll tell you about Jeff Bezos. And when I tell you about Jeff Bezos and Amazon and AWS is Amazon Web Services and advanced wireless services, and that matches two things for a reason, because the way that they set up servers, which are called BlackBerry Enterprise servers on a mobile device, because that's what it was designed for, was mobile data on a smartphone. Okay. And so BlackBerry had excellent encryption. It's the reason why the president could only use BlackBerry for a long time. And a lot of people said, why does the president only have to use the BlackBerry? Like they only could have a BlackBerry. Then they reached a point where they allowed, I can't remember if it was Obama or somebody, they said, well, they can use an iPhone now. But I promise you, that person, whoever it was, if it was the president or anybody else like that, once they were allowed to use that device as that leader or whatever, it had to be on what's called good. And that means good for BlackBerry Enterprise server or BlackBerry Internet server, Bez or Biz, B-E-Z, or sorry, B-E-S, sometimes communicated B-E-Z, or, you know, so like if you call it a BlackBerry Enterprise server, like BES, nobody ever called them, or when I was inside the industry, and I used to work at a company that had a BlackBerry server, they didn't call them a BES, ever. Even though it's BlackBerry Enterprise server, they always said it with a Z. I don't know why, but it's like, yeah, hook that up to the Bez. Oh man, make sure that you put in a request to have your BlackBerry hooked up to the Bez, otherwise it's not going to work right. So that meant the BlackBerry Enterprise server, or if it was the Biz, that would be the BlackBerry Internet server. The difference would be how you access it on the network. Is it being done when you're on the intranet enterprise? That's when you're in the office and you're only on their network, and it has to run through a proxy server before it goes out to the internet. Now, if your BlackBerry Internet server, it would imply somehow that you're logging into remotely into whatever the server is via the internet and making the handshake that way. All right. Strangely, guys, I was giving a whole bunch of this type of, like, I was trying to like help out with like the George Webb investigation back when I thought he was legit, and all the other people. And I'm just telling you guys, they all ignored me. They all just act like I don't exist. That's when I was kind of like, something's wrong here, man. Because even like people at that level ignored me. It's one thing when the MSM does, you know, you kind of expect that. But all these other characters are just cropping up left and right after I'd been doing my material for however long. And they were instantly popular. And I would even sometimes join their chats and try to offer information or try to offer tips. And it'd be like, oh, I got one of them, you know, like there was a person that was helping out Webb, I think, for, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, guys. It's been forever. And I was sending them emails and things like that. And they were like, oh, yeah, sure. Sometime we're going to get to your information. Yeah, we would like to see more about that. Never happened, guys. Never fucking happened. But it's weird. Like sometimes I'll go check in on what Webb's doing. I just wind up disconnecting from it because I get frustrated. Like, are you mirroring me, dude? I did a whole thing with at the coast where I call it full metal disclosure. It's a thing I do at the beach. I literally do it on the coast. And after I did one of my sessions, he did this whole thing like, you know, something at the beach, like journalism at the beach or something like that. And I'm like, and he had like $100,000 fundraiser that I'm sure got completely filled up just like that, you know. Meanwhile, I'm going to struggle to like try to get a fucking room for the week. Amazing. Not really, guys. I'm sure somebody's going to help, but it's like, what the fuck, guys? Speaking on that, yeah. Anybody helping from the sidelines, it'd be a great time. I mean, I can cover things for a little bit, but yeah, it's getting tight right now. And I wish I could do it more efficiently. I just don't have a way to do it more efficiently. I'm kind of stuck where I'm at. And I don't have a way to make it substantially less expensive. Not really. Anything I would try to do to make what I'm doing right now less expensive will just make it more expensive in the long run. I'd have to spend so much money to make a change right now that I can't even front it to make it slightly cheaper. That's the position that I'm in. So I'm trying to get into a place where I can actually do more meaningful research and, you know, maybe get that book written. It's like I can't do that shit here. I want to get at least one book written. And I want to get deep into the concept on the trinity of human energy and everything with the biofield and things about how we're perceiving information. I want that to be an entire thing. But it's been really difficult because I just can't keep any like stability relative to my environment for longer than a few days. And you just can't concentrate on things when you're in that state of like, constantly scrambling around. So I'm going to make another appeal. Like, I don't know what the metric I'm supposed to meet, like what's the point that I'm supposed to meet, where it's like, you guys crossed that bridge a little bit on your side, but I really feel like you need to. I can't keep asking people to support me at this level. I really need somebody to just give me a more direct opportunity to earn an income. It's just not, it doesn't put me in a good situation either. I could be of much greater value to everything that's going on. I think, we've got a problem. But look where it is, folks. It's so deep in our infrastructure. It's in all of our information flow. You can't go to a website that's not affected by this. That's what I was trying to explain to you, like Bez, B-E-Z, Bezos, BlackBerry Enterprise Server Operating System, Bezos. So let's take a look at that, right? A Bez equals BlackBerry Enterprise Server equals smartphone encryption. All right. So you see what they do? So you go Jeff Bez Oz equals BlackBerry operating system. So he's just an icon character for the core business that really is what Amazon's doing. Now, what Amazon is doing with all this is tapping into every single thing. It's getting everything into their servers. So when the CIA gives like a $600 million contract for cloud computing, why? Why in the world would the Central Intelligence Agency ever allow in any earnest way their data to be stored? I don't care what kind of encryption. Why would they pay $600 million for cloud storage from the CIA? Why would they do it with Amazon? Amazon, a retailer. Yeah, I get it. They do more than that. All right. So when I was researching all the smartphone hacking, that is like they jam your cell phone and then they push you onto a BlackBerry Enterprise server, I noticed quite frequently, folks, especially in Portland, there were nearly any area I went to, about 2 Amazon vans. I read their license plates, so they were the same ones, and they did use the code that I know they're doing the nefarious crap, the same way the cartels use it. They were Amazon vans. How they were Amazon vans, I don't know. Were they official? Were they somebody pretending to be one? Don't know, guys. But I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time going around the Portland metropolitan area in multiple neighborhoods, and I can't tell you how many times, no matter where I was doing my work, one of these vans, the same 2, right there next to me. I'm like, what the hell? This is a big city. I'm choosing different areas to go to. Why are they always here? I mean, I could go down to Wilsonville and, Tigard, Beaverton, Hillsboro. I mean, all over the freaking place, guys, like way different areas. You wouldn't expect like 1 or 2 of these trucks to like cover, but more than like one chunk of an area. But they would show up like you would not believe. And I'd be like, what the same 2 over and over? That's when I got hip to this, because it wasn't just that they were showing up, the behavior of my phone changed. And remember, guys, I'm not just the tinfoil hat guy going, something's happened on my phone. I am a 20-year radio frequency engineer that used to do device testing. When I see my phone get jammed and go to GPRS, which is not native to the network that I subscribe to, it goes to GPRS, then wakes back up, and it's on your fucking network. Yeah, I'm going to go, why? Especially when it's an Amazon van that shows up and makes it a reality. In theory. Why do you think Jeff Bezos is like, yeah, I think I'm done running Amazon? Because a character actor needs to retire. And they'll probably, if Amazon is ever discovered to be part of something much worse, this way he'll get blamed. But he's already left the company, so he'll just have to make random appearances as a character actor as a buffer for the people that actually planned this. And he's never going to see a day of jail if this ever happens. It'll be just like Enron. Guys, Enron was a big ruse. They even made a documentary to get you even more upset about it. They still do it. Everything is Enron. You know what? That should have been the name of tonight's presentation. Everything is Enron. Everything is Enron. Look up Enron. Guys, you want to learn what's happening right now? This, I promise you, Enron, the smartest, it's either guys or men. Enron, the smartest guys in the room, documentary by Alex Gibney. Even though I think it's mostly bullshit, the story, you know, the crypt, what do you want to call it? Cryptography that the fake corporations use. Well, they're real corporations, but I'm just telling you, like the cryptograms that they put out there as their CEOs or as their whatever. These are buffer characters, and then when you catch on that they actually did something illegal, and if somebody actually has the balls to come after them, then all of these characters are all ready to go, just like a plot in a Hollywood movie. Dun, 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 Jeffrey Skilling. Yeah, there's a guy born Jeffrey Skilling, soft kill, ill line, G. Yeah, sure. And then what was the other guy? Oh, Kenneth Leyline. Oh, because they do soft kills on ley lines. Soft killing, ley. Ley, soft killing, skilling, ley. That's the two names of the two guys that were mostly responsible for Enron. One guy does things on ley lines, and the other one is a soft kill, illing. Skilling. Sure, guys, that's, yeah, okay, fine. It's not the fakest sounding name in the world, but no, they always did things with electricity. You cannot trust these things that are going on deeper with the DOE. The DOE, something's got to happen, like top-down restructuring, guys. It is so fucked over there. They have so much secret infrastructure power at the Department of Energy, you've got no idea. It is a backdoor into everything that's done that the military should be solely responsible for, and intelligence services should be solely responsible for. You've got monkeys at the Department of Energy getting their hands into it. And if you see the exploit that I've seen, that they literally get sex offenders and child pornographers jobs at the Department of Energy, and then they place them in places like river protection or doing media relations and shit like that. Whoa. Are you starting to see that that might be a problem maybe at the FBI too? Because guess what? If you know how it happened at DOE and who they're connected to, then you'd see might be connected to things in Washington State at the DOJ maybe. And remember that if you're the DOJ, the FBI has to bring their cases to you at the federal level. Do you understand how fucked the situation is yet, guys? Sorry to keep dropping F-bombs tonight, but do you get it yet? Jurisdictionally, this is where we are. And I'm not trying to get all negative or whatever. It means start, planning like effectively. We have an agency right now that is looking at you and going, what are you going to do, bitches? What are you going to do? We don't like narcs. Get the fuck out of our face. That's what the FBI is doing. If you try to file a complaint, Director Ray, you shouldn't have complained about child trafficking, Gabe. I'm going to direct a ray at you. Hey, how do you like that magnetoencephalograph sensation on your skull? How do you like staying at one of Robert Bigelow's properties, having an x-ray machine going off over your head all night, and we don't do shit about it, Gabe? See, Bob Bigelow, he brings lots of tax money to Nevada. We don't care that he x-rays your skull at one of his properties. That's Nevada FBI for you. They will outwardly refuse to enforce the law in front of our military. Are we in a civil war? You tell me. Who is the opposition getting help from? Chinese Communist Party. Wake up. Why do you think Antifa calls each other comrades and they're all out there trying to scare the living shit out of everybody right now? But guess what? I told everybody that is a Nazi organization. It really is. Nazis. You are being run by paperclip Nazi bloodlines. Fact. Definitely in Portland. They love to pretend to be everything, guys. But they are, in fact, American Nazis, leftovers from Operation Paperclip. 1945, all those bloodlines that stayed true to the Nazi party and the Nazi system, you know what they did? They got as many dark-complected ones with Italian, Sicilian, and French bloodlines and some Welsh bloodlines all together to make darker and darker white people. That's all right, guys. I'm not trying to dog on white people or anything here. It's not about that. I'm just letting you know, like, but they'll present themselves to you like, yeah, I'm going to lead your black movement. I'm going to lead your Mexican movement. I'm going to lead your, they're none of them. So just don't get duped anymore, okay? I don't really have a problem with most people, guys. Seriously. This is where I kind of confuse people on a lot of different sides because I'm sort of equal at peace with, like, I don't know, man. Like, if you tell me, like, I don't have a problem with, like, you know, like guys that you might call, like, whatever, like, you know, maybe libertarians or cowboys going out in the middle of the desert and shooting off their guns and blowing things up and shit. They want to get high out there or whatever. I don't really care. They want to do some beers. I don't care. That's their business. That's what the desert's for. Now, I apply the same logic to people from another culture too. And so a lot of times if they're not getting along or something like that, they won't understand why I see one group the same as I see the other. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times I'll look at, like, a militia, right? And they're, you know, maybe they're mostly white folks, maybe like a mix of people or whatever. And sometimes I'll say, like, I don't necessarily see the difference radically between what they do and what a street fraternity or a gang does, you know, depending on what their activities are. In some cases, yeah, all they're doing is defending a territory and saying, look, we've acknowledged that all the law enforcement in this area is corrupt as shit. And they're the ones that were dealing the drugs in this area. So we're just trying to push them out and say that you're not going to control that and, you know, maybe send somebody to the hospital when you want to and shit like that. You know what I mean, guys? Did it ever occur to you that that's how a lot of these things got started? It's that at the enforcement level, things were so corrupt that it caused the criminal gangs and cartels. And then what happened is they started to believe they were being run organically in grassroots when they were really being run by the FBI, the CIA, at the very top down by puppet buffers that scare the shit out of everybody with their lore about all the horrible, violent things they do, right down to the people they get to actually do violent things. It's got to be realistic stories and lore. And then they just become the managers of the cartels. So if you try to file a report, especially about human trafficking, you're just telling the people that are managing the people doing it. And the FBI does not care. I don't care what you say, FBI. I've seen you put out too much fake fucking information. When you're backed into a corner, you just come up with something that makes you look like heroes. It may as well have been like a plot line from CSI. You probably borrow them from there, then pretend that they're real cases and even film them in parallel to when you're making your fake shit. That's probably how it really works, guys. All those shows you see, like, you know, Atlanta, CSI, Miami, CSI, CSI Las Vegas, Law and Order, all those shows, they create these parallel realities for you to accept. But they're managing the crime. And the way that they got away with this is by saying, like, well, we need to have informants out there. We have to have witness protection. But see, what I did, masterfully, I might say, I don't mind saying that, and I had help. is I proved that you're completely fraudulent, FBI. You don't do a single thing that you ever claim to. I mean, I showed that you're a big Hollywood show for us. You really are. You're a huge Hollywood narrative for all of us to accept. You're just a however many decade long movie that we all got swept up into and believed while you ran the crime with Hollywood. And this got confusing because the defense groups also needed Hollywood to do things for them. And they kind of knew that they were the bridge between these things. And they were like, make this group do this, make that group do that. Not everybody in Hollywood, quite a few of them are cool people, because it's just this one small group of folks, man. They got some of the actors on the wrong path. They got some defense groups. They got some intelligence groups. But the ones that are involved in trafficking all have a shared interest in steering the narrative to the negative. And so all I'm telling you guys is that there are really good people, okay, in all of these places. There really is. You know what I think happened when I was talking about Director Ray? I think they literally put me onto a restricted or a different IP. Hang on really quick. Yeah, they're doing it. Hey guys, I started my live stream, and as soon as I started talking about Director Ray, the connection went down and back on again. So I need somebody to verify that I'm even on. I started my live stream at 7:55. Yeah, look at they're lining up to get their Zodiac. God, dude, these people. All right. Sorry, guys. The thing is, I noticed that my viewer count, just like it had this really weird slope simultaneously, and I think they might have done something to like prevent new people from hopping on. Are you afraid of the truth, Ray? Director Ray? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Hey everybody, I've been getting asked about repurposing of language more lately, so I wanted to give you a quick lesson involving the word Oz. Repurposed to AWS, and also to have multiple definitions that all fit a technical concept, but are actually referencing something else. For example, so the word Oz, okay, most are familiar with it from the movie Wizard of Oz, for example, right? Frank Baum wrote a book called The Wizard of Oz. They made a film about it, legendary book series, everything, right? Okay, so you know about that. Well, AWS is also used and sounds like the word Oz. It's being used in a couple different connotations, but let's get into some other things that use AZ, OS, and AWS, which all sounds like Oz. Okay, well, AWS can mean it could mean Amazon Web Services, AWS, that's their cloud computing platform. It could be an FCC band of frequencies called AWS, called Advanced Wireless Service, that runs in the gigahertz, 1.7, 2.1 gigahertz range, amongst other frequencies, I believe. Okay, well, there's also, sorry, I have notes because I keep forgetting. Oz is also operating system, OS, also forms the word Oz, get it? We also had an OSS, I believe it was naval intelligence. It was a precursor to the CIA in the United States, Oz. All these form the word Oz, and there is a link to all of these things. There really is. Australia is oftentimes called the land of Oz. Why? Australia. Oz, A-U-S, Oz. This is repurposing of language 101, and the word Oz is going to help you understand this way, way better if you start looking into the terms I'm going to leave inside the description. Okay? This is done heavily. And Australia would be a series of, you're being Ozed. It's a trail, okay, an Oz trail. Get it? If you're being surrounded by vehicles that have AWS cloud computing servers that are operating on a Jeff Bezos, get it? Bezos, okay? Well, a Bez is a BlackBerry Enterprise server, and Oz is also an operating system. He runs AWS, Amazon Web Service. Sometimes they're using frequencies in the AWS band, which is Advanced Wireless Service. I know I'm kind of going in circles, but do you understand repurposing yet? Is this helping? I hope it helps. Because it's important. What I just told you. Remember I told you how a lot of CEOs are just puppets? Sometimes their names are just kind of made up to fit other things, to anchor, or somebody selected purely because of their name. It could be the organic name, but that was why they were selected. AWS, AWS, Amazon Web Services, Advanced Wireless Service if it's the FCC. If it's a movie or a book, it's OZ for The Land of Oz by Frank Bound. And if it's Amazon, it also can mean a BlackBerry Enterprise Server operating system, a Bezos. You're welcome. Oz 101.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be all lyrical with it. Sometimes it's just the way I get when I'm doing those quick clips like that, you know, like a reverse hack on the cadence, I guess, in a way. I don't know. But does that help explain a little bit better the correlation between AWS? So you have, I'm going to give you guys a better, you know, whatever of this here. So let me get these windows going. Actually, I think that did I put this on another one? Hang on. Yeah, it's all right. I'll do it this way. Area, let's see, Amazon. You know what? I did this on Twitter today. That's right. Hang on, Twitter. Okay, Twitter. Yeah, on Twitter. I forgot. Sometimes I do like these daily summaries, and I stopped doing that. Maybe I should go back to doing that as part of my live stream. That's probably what I should do, actually, is just start doing a summary of this material. Oh, no, I think I have it in my, that's right, it's in my replies. Tweets and replies. All right. There it is. Amazon reports huge profits as CEO Jeff Bezos prepares to leave. Number one, I mean, I don't know, man. The guy just doesn't look like a real person to me. He just seems like such a character, like a cartoon character. Like he's just kind of there to troll you. Look at you like, ah, yeah, we stole all the businesses that are independent in America and absorbed them into our great big beast of a company. But look at this, guys. A to Z. So, you know, number one, I think very few would argue that that looks a little bit phallic, you know. Just saying, man, you know, if you understand that these people are kind of into this whole fertility symbol thing. But not only that, guys, but you notice that M-A in the middle is Ma. Well, Ma would be like mother. So think about it. They're actually putting a phallus between A and Z, and they're putting, it underlines the word Ma, like mother. Kind of strange, isn't it? And then the A goes to the Z with the phallus-shaped arrow kind of pointing up like that. And then it goes into the A to the Z, and it kind of bumps into the bottom of it. So Oz on, Ma, Oz on. Anyways. And I just put down here, but Bezos is a puppet CEO in America. Most large corporations are run by character actors who become reality through rigging of records. Amazon has another business with the CIA involving a $600 million cloud computing contract. Bez equals BlackBerry Enterprise Server. Oz equals operating system. Amazon, the Air Row is an airwave radio link to the BlackBerry Enterprise Server. So they create rows of airwaves, which is to say they line up cars or their vans, their Amazon delivery vans, rows, airwaves and rows of cars. Then other cars can pull up to them and add into the airwaves, and then they can bridge into the Amazon Web Service server. So it's not just that they have the radio interface, they have an actual hard drive cloud computing storage server that's called Amazon Web Service, which is Oz. They use advanced wireless services frequencies, which is Oz. And then they're everything A through Z, Oz. He's Jeff Bezos, Oz. Operating system is OS because it's a special operating system, Oz. You ever notice how like Amazon also likes to get into their own operating systems, like the Kindle, like the Fire Stick, you know, or they'll do variations on somebody else's operating system. They modify it. It's big with them. And so these are the slides that I developed here. Just took some quick screenshots from Wikipedia. Advanced wireless services is Oz. I know this because I worked for a company that actually had advanced wireless service frequencies, and I used to tune them and optimize them and balance them. So I know quite a bit about what I'm talking about. And they do in fact operate in between. The AWS band uses microwave frequencies in several segments from 1695 to 2200. Yes, that is in fact what they do. The ones that I were usually optimizing, they were like these 1.7 gig. They like one band is like about 1.7 gigahertz. It's transmit, and the other one's receive, or uplink, downlink, I should say. And that's what makes it work so well. Partially is that you have these two dedicated bands that are pretty far separated from each other, that are processing the uplink and the downlink, and that separation gives it a degree of efficiency. On top of it, it wasn't just what do you want to call it? It wasn't as widely used and didn't have as much interference as other frequencies. So this gave like a gateway for a lot of the wireless carriers to provide, for example, advanced 4G LTE services, like the high-speed data that most people are still using, quite frankly, because not a lot of places have that 5G in any real way. But yeah, probably what most people are still using is some variation on advanced wireless services frequencies right now. If you're getting peak data speeds, you're almost always on this band, just letting you know. Okay. And then, and if you have like, for example, if you had a Verizon phone, that's what it would show up at. It would be one of those things that said like advanced LTE or whatever. That would be something that they would use for that. I actually contracted with them. So, and then Amazon Web Services is AWS. And so again, I do the decrypt here, kind of showing you how they do the same thing. AWS. Notice how it's exactly like Amazon, A to Z. The arrow goes from A to S because they're telling you it's Oz, Oz, Oz. But you never once ever hear anybody promote the term Oz at Amazon, do you? Yet, that's what this is. It is all of our Oz. It is Oz in the sense that it's the prison, like they call prison Oz. And it's Oz in the sense that it's our own little yellow brick road of information flow. It all seems to go back to this group in tandem with all the SCIC, Leidos, and everything else like that, hacks through network solutions and everything else like that. All this big partnership between corporations and some of these deep state contractors. And then you hive that into what? Department of Energy hacks into our NSA, maybe to give people in this class that are getting the Oz hacks a little bit of extra, security for themselves that makes our lives exponentially more dangerous. And now you know why everything's so effed right now, because this is the problem, guys. This is the problem. This is the problem. It's about information flow, and that we really just don't, it's like this in so many different places where we get everything. It's where we get our products. It's almost impossible to get by without dealing with Amazon. If I want to publish my book, what am I going to do? You almost have to go to them. Think about this. You understand that we are in Oz? They did it. They accomplished it. How do you break this up without it seeming like you're doing something that's like anti-competition? What if they're a publicly traded company owned by people that are all across the world? Did they understand what you're trying to do? They see themselves, you understand, guys, this is sort of a way for private industry with these paperclip Nazi families to buy and sell America's information environment wholesale to the rest of the world, while they themselves have backdoors into all of it to change perceptions, especially that beloved TULIP system that we know certain insiders love so much. Tool lie IP, where they lie about your internet protocol address information. A special favorite of those CIA folks that are like, helping out the child pornographers, of which there seems to be many. This is why we know, guys, that's why the problem doesn't go away. All right, let's take more of a look at that. Amazon Web Service on Wikipedia. What really is that? Let's understand that better. It's a subsidiary of Amazon providing on-demand cloud computing platforms and APIs to individuals, companies, and governments on a metered pay-as-you-go basis. These cloud computing web services provide a variety of basic abstract technical infrastructure and distributed computing building blocks and tools. One of those services is Amazon Elastic Compute, AEC, AIC. I like that. It spells AIC. I wonder what that's used for. Maybe automatic rife, which allows users to have at their disposal a virtual cluster of computers available all the time through the internet. AWS's version of virtual computers emulates most of the attributes of a real computer, including hardware, central processing units, and graphics processing units. Wow, guys. So, that also means they could emulate your smartphone and swap your image out for one of theirs. That means every time that you plug into one of the systems that they have control over, they can back up your iPhone, create a mirror of it, and push whatever they want on your doped image back to you. Maybe that's why the FBI doesn't help me, because this is how deep the hat goes, and they just don't like, getting, yeah, I like Amazon. What? I have to go do something with them? Oh, Seattle-based Amazon. You think I don't know who planned this shit? AWS's version of virtual computers emulates most of the attributes of a real computer, including hardware, central processing units, and graphic processing units, GPUs, local RAM memory, and hard disk SSD storage. Well, let's think about what that tool right there could be used for. Is that not what I'm telling you about, guys? Tulip, tool, lie, IP. Tulip, where you swap one person's information for another's and make one person look like a creep and another look like a hero. Right, big bruh? Right there off the Queensgate exit where tool, lie, IP is. Right there off the Queensgate exit. Isn't it weird that you run tool, lie, IP off the Queensgate exit? And that's where old James J. Pettigrew molested kids, is in the Queensgate, Queensboro, Brentwood neighborhood of Bothell, Washington. Boy, you seem awfully proud of having that Queensgate association while you run your tool, lie, IP with the family. That's just a little hint for some folks. Seattle-based Amazon. Who else was based in Seattle? A certain Department of Justice attorney. I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out. Maybe Carl Blackstone or Bob Westinghouse knows what's up with this. They're real people, sure. Guys, Bob Westinghouse and Carl Blackstone, if you ask me, these DOJ people that retired the same time as my aunt, the same time. You think I don't know how buffer characters work? I'm not saying they are ones. I'm just saying it's a little weird that not only did she retire, but like two people retired at the same time from DOJ named Carl Blackstone and Bob Westinghouse. Well, look, guys, let's just say those names exist. Let's just find out whatever other things are named Blackstone and Westinghouse. Let's just find out really quick. What else is named Blackstone? Because I was told that at the same time my aunt retired as a DOJ attorney, so did these two DOJ attorneys, a guy named Carl Blackstone. So let's take a look. Who else uses Blackstone? And why was it called Blackstone? Well, gee, the Blackstone Group. Let's find out about the Blackstone Group. What is the Blackstone Group? The Blackstone Group is an American alternative investment management company in New York City. In 2019, Blackstone converted from a publicly traded partnership into a corporation. Blackstone's private equity businesses has been one of the largest investors in leveraged buyouts in the last 3 decades, while its real estate businesses has actively acquired commercial real estate. As of 2020, the company's total assets under management were approximately US $619 billion. Blackstone was founded in 1985 as a mergers and acquisitions firm by Peter G. Peterson and Stephen A. Schwartzman, who had previously worked together at Lehman Brothers. This is where it gets interesting, guys. Pay attention to this part especially. The Blackstone Group was founded in 1985 by Pete Peterson, wink, hey big bruh. I'm just embarrassed for somebody right now. And Stephen A. Schwartzman, with $400,000 in seed capital. The founders named their firm Blackstone, which was a cryptogram derived from the names of two founders, Schwartzman and Peterson. Schwartz is German for black. Peter or Petra in Greek means stone or rock. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Do you know what else is a black stone? The black stone is a rock set into the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the ancient building in the center of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is revered by Muslims as an Islamic relic, which, according to Muslim tradition, dates back to the time of Adam and Eve. The stone was venerated at the Kaaba in pre-Islamic pagan times. According to Islamic tradition, it was set intact into the Kaaba's wall by the Islamic prophet Muhammad in 605 CE, 5 years before his revelation. Since then, it has been broken into fragments and is now cemented into a silver frame into the side of the Kaaba. Its physical appearance is that of a fragmented dark rock, polished smooth by the hands of pilgrims. Islamic tradition holds it fell from heaven as a guide for Adam and Eve to build an altar. It has often been described as a meteorite. Muslim pilgrims circle the Kaaba. They circle the Kaaba, the black stone, as part of the Tawaf ritual during the Hajj. And many try to stop the kiss the black stone, emulating the kiss that Islamic tradition records that it received from Muhammad. Muslims do not worship the black stone. But check this out, guys. Oh, really weird. They don't even mention it here, but this is actually, if you do a search, that's interesting because it used to be inside the Blackstone entry. Check this out. They had something relative to Gabriel and the black stone and the Kaaba within the Quran, which I thought was really weird. But check this out, okay? This is where I thought it got bizarre. Sorry I can't find that right now, guys, because I've referenced that before. It's so strange. I shouldn't go on Wiki because things change there all the time. Hang on. Let's see here. This is why I got interested. Hey guys, I'm not sure if my chat's still working or not. I think I might have gotten disconnected. Either that or you guys are just being super quiet tonight. Hang on. If somebody wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Or I'm going to keep going though. So, all right, it says here, veteran federal prosecutor Bob Westinghouse retires. Now check this out. Says he's leaving at the same time when two other key fraud prosecutors are also retiring, Carl Blackstone and Catherine Warma. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. All right. So it says he's leaving at the time when two other key fraud prosecutors, Carl Blackstone and Catherine Warma, are also retiring. Well, guys, I mean, you know, full disclosure, Catherine Warma is my aunt. She married my uncle Ricardo. And so that's the reason why, thank you guys, I appreciate it. That's the reason why I got suspicious of this whole thing. And that's why I started to raise an eyebrow and question like why people in my own family weren't helping me, because this is the Department of Justice and this was my aunt retiring. And this article was this big to do about how a guy named Bob Westinghouse is retiring. And then they tell you that it happened the same time as when my aunt and this other guy, Carl Blackstone, left. And I'm going, did that really happen? That's all. Guys, can you understand why I might say something like that? Did that really happen? Blackstone and Westinghouse? Guys, Blackstone is a huge financial company that manages assets kind of globally. And they're a cryptogram. Their name is a cryptogram, which means nobody is authentically named Blackstone. It is a cryptogram. It said it inside the corporate entry. So a person who says their name is Blackstone probably has a made up name. A person who says their name is Westinghouse, I'm thinking is either from the legacy of the original Westinghouse family, or it's just a fake name, because one represents finance and one represents what? Energy. Westinghouse is all about nuclear. Truth. Let's watch. Check it out. Not only that, Westinghouse, you might be interested to learn, seems to be central to the family and their power structure going back decades. My grandfather, the pedophile James J. Pettigrew, worked at Westinghouse and took me and somebody else on road trips with him when he worked as a contractor at Westinghouse. Fact. Guess what else? Westinghouse is connected to Project Rainbow. Project Rainbow involved doing radio frequency tests on human test subjects. And the equipment that they used to do it was purchased by Westinghouse. And I have the documentation to back up everything I'm telling you. I will look it up right now. It says Project Rainbow. I have it. It says Westinghouse, Project Rainbow. I know what the date is, 1957, everything. I got this off the CIA.gov's Freedom of Information Act library. Westinghouse is a corporation. It was an American manufacturing company founded in 1886 by George Westinghouse. Again, these people always have fake names. They make the name up to run their business. It was originally named Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing. All right, the company acquired the CBS television network in 1995 and was renamed into the first incarnation of CBS Corporation before being acquired by Viacom in 1999 and completed in April 26, 2000. Okay, so there's media, CBS, television. Now, check this out. As of August 2019, the Westinghouse brand is managed by Westinghouse Licensing Corporation, a subsidiary of Viacom CBS. The nuclear power business, Westinghouse Electric Company, was spun off from the Westinghouse Electric Corporation in 1999. So nuclear, guys, not just media, CBS, but nuclear. The merging of your information and nuclear energy into your perceptions. And why is this relevant? Well, because my brother works at the Department of Energy and my aunt was at the Department of Justice, and I don't know, I'm just saying. That's all. I'm just saying, that's all. I'll leave it at that. All I know is that when I ask for help inside the family, Gabe, go over there. And they go, I don't know. And you go over there, they go, I don't know. Go over there and ask them. I don't know. Go over there and ask them. I don't know. Statutes of limitations. I don't know. Who knows? That's what they do to you guys. This is why I'm telling you, like, at the country level, they're doing it to all of us. I know who's doing this. They've done it directly to my freaking face. This is real, guys. Yeah. Seriously, do you believe that? Are you starting to understand what a movie everything the FBI and the Department of Justice is doing, guys? Or do you actually think that this is real? This is as much a movie as a movie. That's all I'm telling you. They've rigged our reality. That way, when one person leaves or a couple people leave, their actions are attributed to puppet buffers. This article makes no goddamn sense. I'm sorry. It's not logical. It's not logical. I'm telling you, as a person that was just like a radio frequency engineer in a team of very limited, number of people on that group, if we lost 3 radio frequency engineers at the same time, like the bosses would be going like, you can't leave us at the same time. I mean, they wouldn't actually do that, but I mean, none of us would. You would know that everything that you do is so like time related. Like you work on projects like over a scope of time, right? When you're a prosecutor, you're working on cases for months, if not years, right? So you don't just like have 3 people just be like, yep, here's all this work, bye. Sorry, hey, let's all throw a party for Westinghouse and Blackstone. Those are real people. I don't know, guys, but you can understand why I would question it, right? You can understand why I would kind of go, wait a second. My family that's got this, guys, do you understand what this means? This guy, basically, he's got this whole article written about him. My aunt had the same job, effectively, was in the same group, and I can't get help with this shit? The FBI doesn't want to talk to me, and she was there? What hope do you have? What hope do you have? What hope do any of us have? If I'm this connected, if I'm that connected, guys, my aunt had that job. My brother's at the National Security Directorate next to Counterintelligence and Nuclear National Security Administration. That's just 2 connections in this family. And no one's interested in solving this hack. No one's interested in finding James J. Pettigrew and all of his victims to maybe compensate them for what happened to them. With all those ill-gotten gains tucked away, right? Hidden away. All of James' ill-gotten gains tucked away and hidden by who? Who's hiding it? Who's hiding all of James J. Pettigrew's millions? Probably more. Maybe his 9 daughters that he has, or 8 daughters, that I was told he had 1. Do you see the kind of bullshit that I'm up against, guys? I found out my grandfather has several daughters. And I was told since childhood, 1. That means I've got several malevolent little ants out there, all connected to a serial child molester that are all going, I love him. That's daddy. And he's a serial child molester that got away with it, and this family let him go. Did nothing. Did nothing. So what hope do you think we have when the cases are being managed by this troop of people? I'm asking. This is for the military too. Congratulations. I mean, if you've been like itching for the opportunity to step in, have I not given it to you? Have I not demonstrated that you could have all of these connections, the ability to present this material to people and like, hey, would you like to see this? No, we don't want to see it. Are you sure? You don't want to look at my channel? You know, I'm your son, or hey, you know, I'm your nephew, or hey, you know, I'm your cousin, or you know, I'm your brother. I'm just your relative, whatever it is. You don't want to see it? Are you sure? Would you just prefer to believe that none of these people ever did anything and then have them mark your good name and mine also because you just couldn't accept the reality that they're just toxic assholes that always intended to wipe their ass with the family name? Two men born 213 and a wife that dies on 226. 13 times 2 is 26. And you're going to tell me that my grandma Sarah died organically. Sure, guys. Sarah Cruz dies 226. One of her sons is born 213 and her husband's born 213. And 2 times 13 is 26. And I was given an insight that she was hit with a directed energy weapon to her throat, 77 gigahertz aimed at her throat. And that's how she got throat cancer. And none of you give a shit. None of you care. It's strange, though, because some of you seem pretty indignant about the memory of other relatives of yours when they passed on. But I guess this one everybody's kind of comfortable with, huh? Just like when my Uncle Joe got Parkinson's disease. Everybody knew how that happened, though. Who's in the know, I think? I think we all know now. That gets delivered to you. It's a uranium process. And Gabe does not have access to uranium, but I'll tell you who the fuck does. Gabe does not have a nuclear radiation toxicity symbol anywhere on his legs. No tattoos. The plan. Been watching Fantasy Island lately, guys. Sorry about the humor break. I am pissed. I'm just trying to do something to transmute this, man. So I'm really not trying to make a mockery out of it. It's just how I handle things. By now, you must know me. I'm bothered by this because people on the outside look at this and they look at me like, why don't you say something? And then I say something and I get punished. And then what? Who's there for me? Thank you to those who are. I'm not criticizing you guys. Those who are, great. Thank you. And I do appreciate it more than you know. I love you. Thank you. But no, guys, I mean, now I should be in a working group of people in a safe place right now. Not being used as bait. I don't like it. And I'm tired of it. But I understand. I'm just asking, guys, please try not to get me into these places where I'm like having to worry about where I'm going to live and how I'm going to get around in any significant way. Everybody's got stress and everything like that, but I can't solve problems and I can't get information out as easily when I'm put under that kind of stress. And again, guys, I don't let it bother me excessively, but I don't want to be distracted by it several hours of the day. That's all I'm asking for. And I don't think the burden should have to be on a small number of people or whatever. I mean, I should have a salary or something like that. Seriously. I shouldn't be sitting here on the sidelines kind of worried about things. And by the way, guys, if I did have that, I would be way more efficient. My expenses would be way down too. I don't like this shit either. This is not a good situation for me to be in. But I understand. There's just timeline things that got to happen, folks. It's making it challenging. I'm just processing this thing, guys. Like, this is, you understand what this is like? My mom always knew she was messed up. But they get you to feel sorry for them. For decades, I was under the most intense Stockholm syndrome. And when I see others going through it now, I'm so frustrated. But I got to understand, I understand. And I still love those people that have it. I do, even though they're making decisions that I really disagree with. I still love them. And I won't stop. But I'm not going to get punished either. And I'm not going to take, abuse. So I'll forgive people and I'll love them. But I'm not going to stick around and be abused or be told that something's wrong with me or be told that I'm the one to be ashamed of or be told that I'm the person that's wrong. This is stealing from everybody. This is taking from everyone and giving to yourselves, a small number of people. And you know what you're doing. You're just harvesting it and hoarding it, sitting on it, and it's doing nothing. And only people with your kind of sick, disgusting fucking illness inside and need for power would park this many resources globally. I don't think you folks understand what this kind of power gives you. Cybercrime cases are filtered up to these people. All Washington State cybercrime cases were brought to these people. Cybercrime division, computer hacking, intellectual property divisions. I'm not joking. So I showed you that article. Russia has blacklisted 4 U.S. Justice Department officials: Charles Seth Wilkinson, Ethan Ray Aronson, Catherine Worma, and Norman Barbosa, related to last year's detention of Russian citizen Roman Seleznev. See? a relative. Now, that's public. So what am I supposed to do, guys? Do I just sit here and act like I never saw that? Do I sit here as a public personality and go like, I didn't see that? And then you don't help me. And so when you don't help me, then the whole family gets pissed off at me because I point out this, but you don't help me. Guys, I need these people to understand something. Family, if you're watching, you don't help me. You don't support me. But you also have decided in some groups of you to ostracize me when none of you are addressing the obvious, when none of you are questioning something that is this serious. Because it's not just these types of articles I'm finding, guys. And I'm not trying to be abusive or disrespectful to anybody, but I find articles that are very damning to that Seattle base within the family, saying that a lot of people get fired and other people get hired with larger salaries, and there's a lot of cronyism. They gut departments regularly and hire their friends, and that if you try to question anything, that you're never going to get help because they have more connections than God. And you know what? Doesn't sound like those people are wrong in every case, because I questioned this family and the same thing happened to me. So eventually I'm going to go to the outside and say to people like, yeah, I see your point and I understand. And anybody inside my family that still thinks that I'm an asshole for doing that, I would argue that you're the ones that are being the assholes. You, by neglecting this and acting like it's not happening, and beyond that, acting as if I deserve to be punished for revealing it, you got problems. You see, because it's me, I will restore this family's name. I will restore this bloodline. And the rest of you are fucking it up. Being straight up with you. We don't need more people who just go along and do whatever the elders say. We don't need more people that just look to the president and go, okay. No, we need people with opinions. We need people that can think for themselves. We need people who can actually offer something, new ideas, new perspectives. That's the role of the bloodlines. Not to dominate, control, and absorb all the resources, you dickheads. Well, if we didn't do it, somebody else would. Is that the logic? Because I'm just wondering what's going on here, guys. They're out there somewhere. All I know is there's some people out there, they shouldn't have the things they do, but they do. It's a little too easy for them to have all the extras. That's all. Given the parameters that they're allegedly existing in. And the rest of us seem to have a hard time staying alive, let alone, thriving. While I find all of that. But I guess, because I said something that was not glowing and 100% positive about somebody with the same last name as me, that makes me the enemy, huh? Is that really your perspective? I'm asking that. Is that truly your perspective? I'm just, because I know where all the media is being rigged, guys, and I'm just going to be straight up. Guys, just like this, Bob Westinghouse and Carl Blackstone, I'm just letting you know. That's in the alt media. That's Jeff Bezos. Did you get it yet? Then, when that's close to my aunt, then if I tell you maybe that a lot of these characters in like alt-right, alt-left, whatever media that you're trusting are lying to you, maybe you want to start listening to me and not just think that I'm a contrarian who thinks that everybody's a liar. It might just be because I did the research and I can actually tell you what their real name is. I'm sorry, guys. I get people that will Gabe, you're not reinforcing my character. I'm going to take half your audience from you. I'm like, you know what? If they're that easily led, take them. They'll come back. And I don't care if they do. I want a quality audience. Quantity means not. Now, to me, the lack of quantity is an obvious sign that I'm being rigged on some level artificially. I should have an audience at least about 10,000 subscribers by now, I think, honestly, given all the effort I put into it and the places. I mean, I was on Miles Johnston's venue 8 times for interviews with different people, for Christ's sake. I interviewed with 3 different people there. Only one of them went totally shitty. And I released some information on Nazis there a few years ago. Before all of this shit started happening in the streets, I was telling people and warning them about it. But what, FBI? Well, they're not going to turn in their own friends. And the DOJ is not going to do anything about it anyways, because look where that's going to lead back to. The Bob Westinghouse, Carl Blackstone legal team. Do you think they're going to stop the Love Family cult? Do you think they're going to stop, Simon Parks? I think Simon Parks, honestly, dude. Forgive me if you're not from the Love Family cult, but you look exactly like him. So I'll put it this way. Simon Parks, you're either from the Love Family cult, in my opinion, or you've got a twin brother doppelganger out there that's in America that looks exactly like you that was in the Love Family cult. But I'm just letting you know that a lot of the Love Family cult fakes being British. It's kind of their thing. They're from Seattle or from Southern California or from Portland. If they're from Portland, Oregon, they'll say they're from Portland, Maine, 9 times out of 10. That's the record corruption thing, because they know eventually a Portland's going to get crossed by accident. So if they ever accidentally slip and say Portland when they don't mean to, this way it'll be assigned to Portland, Maine. That's the first thing. And then so as far as record corruptions go, but they've got a ton of them that are like that, guys, where they just cross one thing for another to get you to look in one thing, whatever. But Westinghouse. So yeah, guys, that's why when I went to people in my family asking for help, and this is all I'm telling you, like if you're my cousins or something like that, or even any of my aunts or uncles that vibe with me now, and you understand that I'm actually telling you that somebody probably radiated my uncle, gave him Parkinson's disease, and that I was given a tip that they actually radiated my grandmother with a 77 gigahertz antenna that shocked her lightly. It gave her light tasing sensations by pulsing her and keeping a constant wave that they would just do different patterns on. And it sent a beam like about this right to her throat. And she stayed pretty stationary most of the time because towards the end of her life, she mostly just kind of watched the news and hung out in a chair. And so this gave them the opportunity to hang out, to aim the beam at her and give her throat cancer. That easy. She never smoked. If she smoked cigarettes, I'd say, okay, that's something that could have happened, but no. And then having the uncle get Parkinson's, and then having, guys, I'm just telling you, like, I've been in environments where when you go into these places, it will be just like you have Parkinson's disease. I can actually, when I'm in the building, if I don't do something to break the pattern, I'll start to do the whole thing that you do. I'll be like, over time, I'll just start to do this. And then even if I'm talking to somebody, I'll start to like make this sort of like yes motion all the time where my head's like rocking like this, like, yeah, I know. Yep, exactly. Because the electrical loop that they're using when you're inside that environment, it's just putting this repetitive like very effective on the brain. And then once you're exposed to it long enough, the brain gets entrained and it goes, this is the frequency of my body. And then it just takes over. So the frequency doesn't even have to be delivered to the person. At some point, the body just in the brain says, this is my natural state. I'm going to stay static in this. That's the point of delivering the Parkinson's frequency. They frequently give people cancer of the balls, things like that. Well, guys, I mean, here's the thing, you know, people just need to rise up. People need to resist this because it's fake. What these people have presented us as reality for a long time is 100% completely fake. And what they're trying to do right now is completely shut down our economy and do a huge record wash where they can do, you know, either continue to maintain their false reality while COVID goes on because it'll be unverifiable. COVID was brilliant, guys, because they knew they had to get rid of a whole bunch of money laundering, all the Kenny Lays and the Jeffrey Skillings that they haven't murdered yet, fake dead. Guys, like what happened to Epstein. We all know that's bullshit. That happens all the time, guys, especially with finance. So they get you a fake story that makes everybody talk about it. You're talking about Epstein still. You're talking about Maxwell still. Are you guys still under the impression that they're the real figureheads behind global human trafficking? Or were they just the buffers? Do you honestly believe that you can really ever cut the head off of something like that without the snake just going whoop, right back up? Or however that works? No, it doesn't work that way, dude. They always have somebody. If you heard about them, if you're even speaking their name, it's not who did it. It's always been a buffer that was put out there to get you to believe that when the shit hits the fan, it's them. And these people that play the buffers know how it's going to play out if and when they get caught. They're not even worried about it. They'll keep their noses clean and everything like that reasonably, but they know they're there to take the blame. It's the oldest thing in the book, guys. It's one of the oldest punishments in the book. Oh, you didn't meet your debt obligation. You owe me money. I'm your mafia boss. I'm the Don. What are you going to do for me now? You owe me $100,000. I can't pay you, Don. Okay, well, it's either you're dead or your family's dead, or how about this? You take the fall for this crime. I want you to go down there and say that you're the person that shot him. You do the time, you say you did the crime, I'll forget your debt. Guys, it's in movies and everything. I mean, that's a thing. So the modern form of it, it's a little different. Do deeds or get caught doing a deed. In either case, you won. People just started to know that if they did something really effed up, they could get recruited, especially within sex offenders. And this is the part where, like, guys, really understand this. If you don't get this part, I'm not saying it just to shock you or to get you upset or anything like that. It really is at the core of the problem. The reason why these people are so detached and disconnected from humanity is because they're the kind of people that do, in fact, buy and sell children. They are the people that at least will go like, I didn't see that. Did that happen? I didn't see it. And there's many like that. And that's the game, guys. I need you to just really understand that. The game is to always disregard and ignore and to program as many generations as possible into disregard and ignoring. Guys, they were doing it to me. I don't like to get into detailed schematics of how the abuse scenarios were when I was a kid. I didn't really get abused, just to be clear. The function of the abuse in my case, it was abuse, but it was subtly emotional and it was less physical and less sexual. And it was more witnessing things that were physical and sexual and not doing anything about it. The point of me was to get me as a child to witness other children being abused, and then to be disconnected from the experience. So he would do it in my presence sometimes, or in another room, and then keep me locked in an adjacent room while the abuse occurred. It was just weird. But the point was for me to have a disconnect of doing nothing about it, either being in a locked scenario where I'm conscious and aware that abuse is occurring on the other side, but I can't do anything about it, even if I fight to get out. That's the lesson that's being taught my 5-year-old brain back then. Then the other lesson was to do something that I think either drugged me or put me into a hypnotic state while this other person got abused in a bed adjacent to me. I'm explaining this to you not to traumatize you or to make you feel bad. I don't want that to be the case. I want you to know what these people are about. It's about making you not see things. It's about programming you. And they're that sophisticated. I want you to know that about me for a reason. I don't take pleasure in telling you. I don't like to. And it doesn't put my head in a good place to. Try to understand what I'm telling you and take it seriously. This isn't entertainment. Look, if I got to make you laugh or smile to get you here, I want to keep you smiling. I want to keep you laughing. I really do. But I want to be too. I want to have a reason to. I don't want to be stuck in this. I don't want to think about it. Not another minute. I don't want to give them another day. I'm tired of it, frankly. I'm tired of giving my energy. But I got to wake people up. You need to know how fake it all is so you can just walk away from it and be okay with it. I honestly don't want you to be sad or upset. But I can't not tell you. Or whatever my double negative there was, you know what I mean? If I don't tell you some of these things eventually or at some point in time, how do you even understand like the entire arc of what happens? They got my brain to kind of disconnect from all this for a long time. And then at some point when honestly, guys, you know when this all started to really catch up to me? It's when I stopped drinking. And I didn't do it for any sort of moral reason or anything like that. It just started to feel shitty when I drank. And I didn't want to do it anymore. It made my stomach sick. It made my head sick. And then I got my empathy back in full. And I made a decision to never take any medications or any type of pills. And I didn't have any addictions or anything like that, but I just didn't want to take any prescriptions. I mean, my dependency on alcohol was significant, so I don't want to like underplay that. But not pills or anything like that. It was just that I needed to drink to function for a long time. And when I stopped having that crutch in my life, it did reactivate my empathy circuits significantly. The reason why alcohol is such a powerful anti-anxiety drug, why people feel so great on it, is because, well, that's exactly what it does. It relaxes those receptors. And anything that is anti-anxiety in nature will typically also, more often than not, affect your empathy. And, you know, the ability to empathize, not just sympathize, but empathize, is important. And, you know, for me at least, alcohol put up an artificial barrier between me and other people. And it let me continue the disconnect that my brain had been trained into accepting. This isn't happening. Because I had to for a while to function. You guys, do you understand the gravity of what I just told you? Can you imagine what that's like to be a 5-year-old and kind of have an idea that something is wrong with what's going on? And even telling adults. But the message always being, no, Gabe, not doing anything. Accept it, accept it, accept it, accept it. That's the only reason why I'm asking people that have the same last name as me is like, did you know that that's what it was? Do y'all know what James Pettigrew really is? Have you asked her? Have you asked him directly? Or are you just judging me? Have you confronted them? Or do you just say, they are my blood and I'm not going to say or do anything? Because I think that's what you're doing. And I guess if that's really everybody's perspective on it, then I'm wired differently. And I'll accept that. All right. This system, guys, of these puppet CEOs is extremely common. It goes right up to people that are at the DOJ and FBI, as far as I can tell. They're playing the game. If they're playing this game with fake characters, CEOs and board of directors are fake in corporations, and many of the news stories that I've directly tracked to these same groups of people are also false narratives that I know are false because I verified their falsities. And in many cases, and a few at least, I should say, not many, but a few that are significant, they were cover-ups of information that I was researching independently on my own, but not publishing. And while that was happening, and I was telling people in select environments what I was doing, they were creating media narratives that covered up my research. And this is the information environment that we're in right now, in all reality. This is really serious. That's why, folks, The Godfather Part 2 is a very, very valuable lesson in trying to, if you need entertainment, guys, I'm not, me, I don't object to Hollywood entertainment as lessons because I think there is some significant things that are going on in that. Let's talk about that a little bit again, because I don't think all these people are evil, guys. I just don't. And I have all the reason in the world to be cynical. And this has been my struggle, is that I had the cynicism that I had to get past number one of trusting people, right? And that's understandable. But then also of of like your acceptance of information historically, like how many of these things have I allowed in, or just was, that I knew better, I shouldn't like accept as true, but I did. And once that reality starts to sink in a little bit, yeah, I think you would be like me, if you were this close to where it originates from. You too would want to, I would hope, get it out to as many people as possible to say, like, do you know how much you're being lied to and incentivized to argue with people that you should be getting along with? And who's doing that to you? I just want you to know, man, these people, the ones that are doing it to you, they're hiding assets. They're hiding tons of assets: land, property, money, companies, stocks, funds. And they're doing it because they like having the ability to cause massive changes top down in economies and corporations, all of it. They can cause disruptions just like that. They can create the scandal within the company. A lot of times that actually happens. I mean, Enron, if you ask me, right down to Alex Gibney's documentary, I think Enron was a manufactured scandal to cover up something that was exponentially worse and continues on to today. Frankly, folks, I found evidence that what happened at Enron is happening. I had somebody confess to me directly. But again, FBI doesn't want that information either. I'm going to remind you again, FBI. Wow. This is really trippy, guys. All I'm going to tell you is there's a Fort Meade, Lake Meade connection to what I'm going to explain to you here. This you really should be required to have to talk to me about this. I don't even understand how you can even like pretend you're legit if you don't talk to me about this. About the time where a guy, and again, if this proves out to be bogus, sorry, but this was told to me. Why would I tell you this story if this isn't true? But that there is in one of the power companies that I visited, I won't say when or where or how, it was part of my work function, so I was there in a legit way. He straight up said to me that they literally had it rigged with financial markets relative to energy commodities, where the energy was being managed in one building, and then they annexed a building right next door that was only separated by feet. Literally, they were practically the same building, and then they placed a roof over the two buildings, but they were technically two different addresses, yet they were in the same building. What this gave them was the ability to get around the law that says you're not supposed to trade energy in the same building as it's managed. So energy's commodities and trading of commodities relative to energy and power are happening in the same building. But technically it won't look that way. They're next door to each other and their addresses will be about 10 or 20 apart. And that's your hint. Now, if you would like to go investigate that independently, great. But I know you won't. So I'm just got to say to some people here that I was told that, and somebody who does care, maybe you want to do something about it. I don't know. Hey, you know, I wonder why my uncle doesn't care about that since he worked at Bonneville Power Administration for a while. They kind of managed functions like that. Anyways, I'll just leave that one on the table for others to interpret later. Did I mention the thing about Fort Meade and Lake Meade having kind of a connection? So you may want to think about that too. I know a lot, guys. Don't ask me why people tell me things. Probably because they knew what I was connected to, and I didn't. And I think that was the big problem. The more I think about it, guys, it would have made sense that this timeline thing happens, that I would have told these people to tell me. That wouldn't surprise me. That me, like, a year from now is sending messages to people like when I was on those contracts saying, tell me on that timeline, and then it'll wind up being told on this other thing. Maybe that's how people were whistleblowing. I don't know. You know, I'll give them that credit if that's the case, because I don't want anybody to get in trouble for telling me. It's just I kept wondering, why are these people confessing to me? And I think that's all it was. Is like they knew about it, but like they kind of knew that nobody was going to do anything. And so maybe that was a way to get the information leaked in a really esoteric way relative to timeline manipulation and timeline reassignment, or time reassignment. That's what they call it in the film the film Source Code. He calls this like looking glass style technology time reassignment. And if you guys are looking for a really good way to like kind of like understand it a little bit better, I think Source Code actually has some answers in it relative to how the technology really works. Because he actually discusses it as a brainwave function, and that you're able to tap into a window within the human brain that's an 8-second time frame before the person's brain goes into the technically dead state. And so this, like the person that was like a victim of like a bombing, that if your genetic profile is close enough to that person that you can go into a timeline reassignment factor and be inside that person's body for the last 8 seconds before they die. That was sort of the way the technology works inside the film. And I think that that's really the way I've been told that it works is off of brainwave interpretable layers of brainwave that can translate the pulses of the signals that come out of here into text. And that shouldn't be difficult for people to believe, because like, Neuralink with Elon Musk, that company, they're having monkeys play Pong with their brain, and the monkey's not using a controller. He's sitting there going, boop, 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 boop. And then, when he plays the game well, they give him a smoothie and shit. It's weird. But I mean, guys, that's the level that they're doing things on to tap into, clairvoyance and telepathy and that kind of thing. And so if they're already at that layer of interpretability within monkeys, I mean, people they've got nailed down, guys, to where you can hive people's thoughts together. That's it. I mean, and that's just technology. Neuralink is really just making people have the ability to do, this sort of like clairvoyance and telepathy thing. Silent mind is what I call it. I mean, I've had people do the silent mind thing. It's very effective, guys. Silent mind is like all intuition, really. You don't even get it as words. It's really trippy. In fact, I'd say if you want to know more about silent mind, I don't know how legit he is, but he always seems to me to be pretty legit. There's a guy named Dan Sherman. I think he's even from the Oregon or the general Portland area, but he wrote a book about it. About technology involving telepathy and clairvoyance within the military, and how he was part of a military experiment called, I think, Project Destiny. Very interesting guy. And Richard D. Hall did he did a 1-part interview, but I have a playlist for it, actually. I can probably give it to you guys if you want to, if you're interested in seeing it. Again, because I don't usually find that many people very compelling. I usually think that their stories are bullshit. But his is one that I just said, it's hard to shoot holes in this. This really feels like this guy really experienced this. And the things that he's describing are things that I've experienced too. Not in testing environments, but just some of the ways he described the way that intuitive communication works and intuitive pathways, that you don't always get words. You don't always get like a voice. It's just that you immediately know exactly what to do, and you're conscious and aware of how you're getting that information. Like answers arrive, but it's not like you see them in words. You don't have like a heads up display that's like printing them out in front of you or something like that. It's not like that. It's literally just getting the information in ways that you didn't know how to do it. Like, what if somebody is like you're sitting there in front of something like a really complicated thing, like, I don't know, repairing like a circuit board on a phone, and you've never done it before. And then suddenly they use intuitive communication, and it's a little bit like, you're staring at it, and they say, go into alpha state. And you're kind of like, and your brain relaxes for a few minutes, and then the message just drops right in. And you're just like, okay, all right, I know how to do this. And then you go down and you start to work on it. It's kind of like that. I don't like saying it's like that with things that are that complicated, though, because I mean, they are and they aren't, because I think when it's that complicated, it's very seldom that I've been able to process it that fast to where I'd actually be able to whatever. So what I mean to say is it's more like the information comes in, but your ability to interpret it, not always so much. Like I was getting a lot of the intuitive communication, and it translated into a notebook that I called a Ka Codex, because I was told that's what it was through the intuitive communication. And it was just bizarre. It's about 3 notebooks full of all this information that's about symbols and encryption and cryptograms and how to interpret them. And it gave a whole bunch of esoteric schooling involving all the Firo, Chiro, golden mean, golden ratio, all concepts that I didn't really even pay attention to. I didn't get that far in math even in school, guys. I took to geometry, and then I said, I'm sick of this. I mean, I didn't even go to trigonometry. I wasn't a big math fan, I'll put it that way. I like recreational math, though. I enjoy doing math for fun, decrypting problems in a way that, like, I go, oh, cool, I figured out a math problem. I mean, that's fun to me, but no, I'm not. Not to where I would enjoy taking a trigonometry course, not at all. All right, guys. I'm going to be on for a little bit longer, but I did want to like put out a quick reminder before I do any ending of the feed that yeah, guys, anything that you guys can do to like fill in the gaps here over the next day or so, I would appreciate. If you've been waiting to contribute to the channel or anything like that, this would be a good time, just because it's just been difficult until I find a more permanent situation. I'm having to stay afloat in the situation that I'm in now, and then I think once I get to the next opportunity, whatever that amounts to, I have a lot of faith, guys, that things are going to work out. You know, like when I wasn't in a situation where I needed to do this as often, guys, I think you'll agree, I wasn't doing this every night on the channel. So I try not to do it unless I really feel like there's a need to. And as long as I could do it on my own and I had the resources to do it on my own, I was as best as I could. And it's just that time's run out. So that's why I have to put out the reminders, folks. And I don't mean to sound like, you know, public broadcasting or something like that, where I'm constantly in a marathon or a telethon of these types of things. But quick commercial break. Yes. It's in the description below. All the links to things that I take PayPal, I do Cash App, you can do Venmo, bunch of them, all of them pretty much. I do cryptocurrency if you do that. I do, there's links to everything there. And so anybody who can, I would appreciate it. That would really help out. And then I'm also doing consulting, folks. And so if you have technical concerns or these are things that you want to know more on a deeper level, how they operate, you know, we can have conversations about what it would take to do consulting over phone or video or whatever. You might have an issue that you've been researching, for example, that you could use a little bit more technical expertise relative to these things, and you may find having that one-on-one would be beneficial to you. If you'd like to consult with me to like have me research a problem for you and just simply report back to you, I can do that too. So I just thought I'd throw those things out there as things that I'm capable of doing. You know, if you have monitors or like meters or things like that that you're kind of hoping to get help with, sometimes I can just help you do your own measurements and things like that too, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, I'm available for that. And let's see here. I'm going to put some links down here really quick. Yeah, guys. So what else? Oh, yeah. Again, guys, I don't like doing this, but it's only because I need the cash right now. Google, the Google app thing, like they're giving like $15 for like when you get referrals or something like that. So that's a way, like I think the person you refer gets a $5 added to their app, and then you get like $15 for referring them. And then if you refer a whole bunch of people, they'll pay you out, like not a bunch of people, but if you get like all these different stamps in the app, which are really easy to get, they'll even give you like another $30. So that's just been something I've been trying to find angles like that to work, you know, to help out. But again, I really am reluctant to do that because I don't want people to feel like they're getting a Google link or that, you know. So again, I don't want to get into things that are that messy or, you know, like sponsorship oriented. I just don't, to me, it makes me feel a little dirty, especially if it's not a company that I feel good about. and I don't have warm and fuzzy feelings about Google, even though I use Google Earth and I'm obviously using YouTube. So what else are you going to do though? I mean, this is kind of the situation we're in, ladies and gentlemen, is that, you know, these are our choices and our choices are very limited. All right. And then, all right. So let's just talk about, so what does it take to change all these things? I don't want to end on this big negative note here or anything like that. I'm going to be on for at least another 5. So here's the thing. Going forward, I think we have to start focusing on the concept of transmutation of negative energy. And anytime you experience like what I just did, you know, like I don't try to deny myself of like feeling sad. If I need to process it, I'll process it, but I get it out of the way. But I look a little at that moment, like if I get sad at that moment, I need to do something almost immediately to get my spirits lifted back up. I got to listen to something that makes me happy, or just get some laughter out, even if it's fake laughter, even if I'm just going ha 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 to get the endorphins going. I don't care. but it's got to be something that's not sadness. It's got to be something that is not in that, negative spectrum. I've learned this is pretty powerful at balancing energy in areas that are negative. There's times where they can kind of get you into these dips of negativity where you're briefly sad. And it's a little bit like whisking out, all the crap that's like within the environment. How else do I say it? It's like, so it's like the oil. You ever see those the birds getting the oil off of them and the oil spills inside the Gulf, and they use Dawn soap because it's a petroleum based dishwashing soap to scrape all that thick oil, because it binds to the soap. It'll pull it off really lightly without putting more toxins and more poisons into the bird's feathers, so that you're not killing them with the solution. And that's kind of what that is. You experience that little bit of stress and sadness for that moment. Okay, that may be something that you succumb to, or you allowed yourself to process at that moment. But if you can take that and learn to sort of like whisk it around a little bit, you know what I mean? Behaviorally, like learn to like say like, I'm not just going to take this moment to like boost my spirits back up, but this is an opportunity to balance energy with my physical body relative to this location. If there is trauma experienced here, now I'm going to think of that trauma a little bit like the petroleum base in the Dawn soap, and I'm going to use it to lift the spirits in this location. I'm going to use it to amplify things that are more loving, amplify things that are the opposite of what I just experienced. I want people here to feel something more loving, more creative, more coexistent, more abundant in nature, where people have all of their needs met. They're not feeling stress. They're not feeling joblessness. They're feeling abundance. They're feeling that they have a meal on their table. They have a place to sleep in, and they don't have to worry about that or where it's going to be. All the things you want for yourself, want for others, and visualize getting it for others at that moment. See others experiencing it with you. Go with the water. Go with the ocean. Bruce Lee said that. Don't give credit to those goons out there with their bogus riots. That was a Bruce Lee thing, and I'm sure he wasn't the only one that said it. But yeah, flow. Follow the energy of the earth, and the energy is predominantly dominated by water, right? 60-70%, just like in the human brain, just like in the rest of your body. That's the flow of life. That's the flow of reinforcing energy, and that's more consistent with love. That's more consistent with acceptance. That's more consistent with courage and bravery and integrity. Okay? That's the purity of the water. That's what it represents. The things that keep us anchored in physical reality are all the opposite. It's trauma, it's rage, it's anger, it's fear, it's spinelessness. Don't be that way. Take those moments where you're inclined to, and understand that you can amplify everything at that moment. Positive orgone radiation, when you take that moment and you start to push it out, everything in your biofield starts to change into the physical. And so this is why when you're optimistic, when you allow your feelings to be uplifted, when you allow yourself to, you give yourself permission to feel good, then yes, you're going to experience this in a genuine way. And you're going to be able to do that great work. You're going to be able to actually transmute an event of serious negativity and really raise everybody's frequency around you. And as a consequence, you remove a little bit of the trauma out of the location, and you add a little bit of something of you into it. You're always in an exchange of energy and plasma between the earth and the ionosphere everywhere you are. Never forget that. You have so much power inside you to do good things. So don't let your mind get binded into negativity, okay? All right. Have a good night, everybody.